Good morning. Quick safe harbor statement. There's some forward-looking statements. We don't need to bother. You can go to the next slide. So here, this is green, right? Okie dokie, perfect. Um, Thank you for having me. I just had to look it up yesterday. It's my fourth time with Integral at the Integral Data Talk event in Warsaw. Now, I wish we should have done that, a month earlier because I'm coming from Dubai, and when I got out of the airport, it's quite cold, right? So it's 32 versus 3. But anyhow, thank you very much. Look, I will not talk about technology in detail. We have, colleagues here today and tomorrow. We have Nicola Sandoli with us, who is, an architect and a segment leader for emerging markets around data governance cloud, data quality cloud. We have our sales director in the room, Mo Nofal, who is looking after Central Eastern Europe. And tomorrow we will have another architect with us who is performing those workshops Pavel was just referring to. My name is Frank Hendricks. I'm looking after the channel in emerging markets, the GSIs, and our strategic global ecosystem partners. And it's just about giving you an idea about the outlook of Informatica and how we see the technology evolving. We are walking into an opportunity of new use cases for technology and especially for AI. And this new use cases, this new technology comes with a lot of challenges. I think that is without questions. It's not only about the technology itself, it's about the business justification, it's about privacy, security, but I think it's also very important about the workforce, on how to change the culture, on how to deal with this kind of new technology everybody is talking about. AI is all over the news, as Pavel just said, right? But let me give you some statistics to put it into an equation. When ChatGPT launched in 2022, it took them 5 days to get to 1 million users. 2022. Netflix needed 3.5 years to reach 1 million subscribers. And if you now look about the exponential growth, ChatGPT in March 25 saw 5.6 billion hits in 1 month alone. This is the growth, and I think everybody here in the room has used ChatGPT, at least on a private point of view. So now if we look at this bridge, and there are similarities with AI projects, with AI, GenAI, Agentic AI POCs. Many of those projects are starting, but don't make it into production. And if you look at Gartner, they actually say that in 26, a huge amount of those POCs or projects will get abandoned simply because of data quality. And another key reason for that is that also there is a lack of justification when it comes to business use cases and the business value justification. And this is where I believe, and honestly believe, that our partner, Integral Solution, who is working with Informatica since 20 years, actually working with Informatica longer than Informatica is present in Europe on their own, right? So that's, for me, a real statement where I cannot say enough thank you for that kind of commitment. But what we now see, Integral, like Informatica, they've done a transformation. We've been the undisputed market leader when it came to Power Center. That was our legacy product. ETL on-premise works like a machine. Customers are using this over 20 years, and they've never been running into any performance issues or quality issues. But now, everything moved into the cloud. And Integral Solution joined us in this transformation process. Adoption towards the cloud, which is the foundation for everything called AI, so on and so forth. However, what I like here is to see the alignment between a partner who really has this deep skills, the deep pockets about deployment, about delivery, aligning themselves also with consultants who are, I believe, especially when it comes to larger enterprises, needed to help customers with the justification of use cases, scenarios, and this kind of, reasoning. We have been at GITEX last week in Dubai, which is the largest IT conference in the world, 1 week. And we had the pleasure to have even Deloitte on our booth. And I come to that later. But they presented their view on AI and use cases. And one of the Deloitte point of view is to say, don't start even a POC. Find the right use case in order to justify the business value. Now, another kind of, just a graphic, right? So highway. Highway on its own, it could be Shakespeare, even though it's not. But the highway on its own doesn't create any value. Meaningless. It only starts creating value when people start commuting over it, when you transport goods. And this is the same for technology. AI as a technology doesn't do nothing for you. No value. And this is a bit of the similarity, right? So now we spoke about the opportunity and we spoke about this disruption, exponential growth, more use cases, more agents. But with every disruption, there are opportunities. And this is what I want to actually really showcase to you. So we went through the internet, it's all old style, mobile, yes, we've seen it. Now, the Polish market, you are in a good shape. You have the public cloud available, Microsoft Azure. And I think the key message is, if you don't adopt the cloud part, you won't be able to actually join the AI journey. Because without the cloud components, you cannot manage any kind of AI outcome. And this is the key message, right? So the gap between cloud, data management in the cloud, to be ready and to become an enterprise-ready AI business with all the kind of new offerings about co-pilots, about GPTs, about now the new topic agentic AI. So, and if I'm looking at this chart, for me, I remember we used something similar when we started to justify to enterprises the need of ESBs, so enterprise service buses, hub and spoke technology. And why? At that point in time, we said there are so many fragmented, isolated application enterprise solutions in your enterprise. You need to consolidate, you need to integrate. Now, look at the amount of enterprise solutions versus the future amount of AI agents. This will become an even bigger mess. It will require clear capabilities about managing those agents, about governing those agents from an ethical and also AI responsible point of view. So this all means together what you need to do in order to become an AI-ready enterprise. You need to focus on your data. You need to manage those data under the aspect of the new technologies in order to get AI ready. And this is the key message. As I said, technology on its own doesn't create the value, but your data, which you cannot just collect, you need to ensure that you know where the data are coming from, you need to catalog the data, you need to have an understanding about the data lineage, you need to really ensure that the quality is there, you need to be governed, you can master the data. But at the end of the day, if you have that in control, this is your differentiator in the world, in the area of AI. And now we are focusing very much, on the Middle East. And if you look at this, and I heard Pavel saying, is AI replacing human workforces? I feel that the perception of AI in the Middle East is much more open than here in Europe. I feel that the European Union is potentially not really helping this kind of conversation. Now, I don't want to politicize here, but if I'm looking at the Middle East, we see large companies investing heavily, billions. Microsoft, G42. But not only companies, but entire nations. If I'm looking at Qatar, billions. And Informatica in Qatar is now the set standard for enterprise data management. So every government entity in Qatar now has access to our IDMC, so Intelligence Data Management Cloud Solution, which is the foundation afterwards for the use case for AI. Saudi Arabia is heavily investing into AI. Now, here again, this is for me a very interesting use case. Saudi Arabia, almost every bank and government and telco airline is using Informatica. There is now a major leapfrogging effect because only about 2 years ago, Saudi Arabia started with public cloud. So they have now one public cloud, roughly 1.5 years ago live. But the adoption, the speed, companies started moving from on-premise towards the cloud. Google is actually really, it's impressive. And now they are creating, based on one of the largest or the largest company in the world, Saudi Aramco, together with a sovereign wealth fund, they are now focusing and creating a new nationwide AI initiative. You can read this as public knowledge called Humane. This is how those countries are really focusing on it. You can see the same aspect, the same effect in Oman. Now it will start in Kuwait. So there is a different perception. Maybe for some reasons, but it's interesting to see the speed on how this is there, in this region adopted and accessed. Now, I don't want to go too much into the technology, into the key differentiator of Informatica, IDMC, but what really differentiates Informatica compared to our legacy solution on premise is that everything is built on a platform approach. So you or our customers decide where they want to start and how they want to expand. With our new Informatica pricing unit, so it gives you the flexibility to even start small and to scale whenever you need to scale, when you have more use cases. So you can start with the cataloging, you can go into the integration, AI and genetic engineering, I'm coming to that in a second, the mastering, but very important, and I spoke about workforce, I spoke about users. This aspect of data marketplace is all about data democratization. It means if you want to transform your enterprise into the area of AI, you need to really also include your business users. And that means ChatGPT or ClearGPT is one tool to give more access to non-IT users, to get better access. And if you have a view for the business users on the different services available in your IDMC at your enterprise, you see a mind shift. And another very important aspect is this kind of metadata management layer, right? So where we are not hosting data, physical data in the cloud, but we're focusing more on the metadata, which will be a very important vehicle when we come afterwards to the way how we want to manage agents. Now, without question, and this is something I'm very proud of, I joined Informatica in 2019 for one reason, one of many reasons, but Informatica was the undisputed market leader. At that time, clearly in the on-premise world, but now we've seen a continuous transformation. Now we are also the undisputed market leader in the cloud environment. By Gartner, in all the relevant magic quadrants when it comes to enterprise data management, but also by Forrester. So something which is really helping and makes a lot of fun. Now, in 2018, we launched Clear. That is our AI engine. And we did that when we recognized that if you want to really scale and allow management support in such a cloud platform like IDMC, you needed an AI engine. We never really positioned this as a separate tool. It was just embedded. The foundation, the AI tooling within our enterprise platform. Then we launched in 23, we launched Clear Copilot and Clear GPT. And now in May 25, we announced the AI agent engineering. And this is now really, also one of the key reasons why Salesforce considered Informatica a very, very interesting asset to proceed with their vision and their future from a development standpoint. I can talk about that offline because many of you might have some reasons or some questions around that topic, Informatica plus Salesforce. But I think, yes, why we did announce AI agent engineering. There are three aspects. On the one hand, Informatica World in Las Vegas announced this year that we will develop our own Informatica agents. We will start with the data governance. We will then continue in quality and into the master data management and also into the marketplace aspects. Because one thing is clear, there's a difference between GPTs, copilots, and agentic AI. It's a different automation, it's a different way on creating a new workforce. And still, I'm not debating here about whether AI will replace human or individuals. But the second aspect, while we will develop, and I right now in the process of developing our own agents, we will give you a management and a governance layer around the entire ecosystem of enterprise solutions and their agents. So you can actually use our agents. You will then have the capability to manage the various agents around your ecosystems, around components like Workday, SAP, AWS, Databricks. And if you look at this, because we spoke about, it's just a statement, right? So everybody can say everything around AI. I said that the amount of agents you will see is exponentially growing. But if you look at this, right, if you look at Gartner here saying, by 2028, almost a third of all enterprise software vendors, enterprise software solutions, will have their agents. Now you see the growth and the explosion of the number of agents, and that will, I think, also clarify the need for governance opportunity and governance capabilities when you start facing so many agents. So now we don't do this alone. Informatica, we are globally aligned with our strategic ecosystem partners, like the AWS, like the Microsoft Azure, GCP, Oracle, but also Snowflake and Databricks. I think most of them are relevant in this market. In May 25, we announced a strategic global ecosystem partnership with NVIDIA. This is about embedding and improving the integration with the NVIDIA GPUs. And Salesforce was announced. Now, at that time, I was wondering why Salesforce. And 4 weeks later, when the announcement hit the market that Salesforce will acquire Informatica, it got clear why they did that, right? Anyhow, so now we have blueprints, best practices available. We can share that with you. You can download those for each and every of those global ecosystem partners, like Azure, like as I said, GCP, Oracle, Databricks, Snowflake, ready to access. And now then we have a third segment or section of partners. We're working very closely with we call them GSIs. It doesn't mean that, for example, you won't see here PwC. PwC, in my view, in my reading, is also a GSI, but not in our terminology because they've been our auditor. And that's why they are not appearing on this chart, but that's just on a side note. So I think we have today, we will see, or tomorrow we will also see Deloitte. We have Accenture around, PwC, EY. EY is now our auditor, and they're also the auditor of Salesforce. That's why they don't appear here. But again, for me, this is where the capability of the consulting, the advisory aspect kicks in, which helps you to justify and to deploy in a very positive environment, the solutions around that. And then we work very closely with local partners who are supposed to actually be our representation here in this market. In this case, it is Integral Solution for the Polish and the Czech Republican market. And we have many of those, especially as Informatica in emerging markets. I said Central Eastern Europe, Middle East and Africa. We have several markets with the highest density of platinum partners. We are really relying on our channel partners in this environment, and with that, I think it's really important to. And again, thank you so much, Pavel. This is something I think this will be shared, this deck. You can scan that and you can become part of the innovation inside, signing up for that. I think this is something of real interest. And with that, thank you. Really, we will be here more, as I said, myself. We have Nicolas, and then tomorrow Kilian. If there are, Nicolas is in the back. I can't see more, but he will be somewhere around over there. So looking forward to the day, open for future more discussions. Thank you so much.